Hello, and welcome to session 19 of History of Healing. This is the history of naturopathic medicine, and it's one of two lectures that will cover naturopathic medicine. So we'll start off today growing out of the histories of herbal medicine and nutrition that we have talked about previously earlier in this semester up until just our last session, and dive into naturopathic medicine, which is a newer form of medicine, at least by that name, although it includes a lot of what we have already studied previously. So we'll spend most of our time in this lecture in the United States, and that's because that's where naturopathy by that name came from, and as we know it today, that's where it got its start. Though its roots are found in the German nature cure movement predominantly, although there are other aspects to its roots as well, as we'll see. And perhaps because at the time it came into being, which was somewhat later than homeopathy, as conventional medicine was finally getting its legs under it in order to step into modernity and come into the realm of science and a less harming form of medicine than conventional medicine had been in the past. Naturopathy met with a much greater opposition from the regular medical doctors, and that's a term we'll use through this lecture, the regular medical doctors, and that's what the conventional medical doctors were called in this point in time, late 19th century, early 20th century in the United States. At that time. So there was a much greater resistance to the development of naturopathy as a profession in the United States at that point in time than there was to homeopathy. And perhaps because naturopathy was such an eclectic mode of practice and the wide array of perspectives that its practitioners had, as an early profession and even up to this day in some ways, it suffers from a struggle to firmly define and identify itself. And the profession has a history of internal argument and infighting, as well as eclectic and really broad variety of treatment modalities or treatment methods that are in the naturopathic toolkit. So it's kind of both its strength and its weakness in that eclectic nature. But that eclectic nature being its strength, it is as the individualization of patient care and the holistic approach to that array of patient needs that we see, particularly in modern times, and I'm sure that that was true historically as well. Folks are complicated when you really dive deep into their individualized circumstances and health needs. And that made naturopathy much more utilitarian and flexible than other disciplines because it did have this wide array and does still have this wide array of therapeutic tools within its toolkit. So I will leave the introduction there and we'll come into the lecture. Do remember, please, to read your prescribed readings and read through your lecture slides before you go into listening to the lecture, just to help you get a bit more out of it. And do note that there is an introductory resource, an extra resource in your learning resources this time that is a video that you might be interested in watching as an extra resource as well, although that is not required. So I'll see you in your lecture. Thanks for joining.